Hello everybody, my name is James, hope you're doing well and welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about updates on Oscar Piastri and McLaren. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more Formula 1 content. Also make sure to follow me and exit James's pit lane, I'll leave a link in the description. But let's jump straight into the video. So when you look at Oscar Piastri's season, the first half of it was very strong, and following the Zandvoort Grand Prix, which was the first race back following the summer break at the end of August, I'd say Piastri was the title favourite. But it's gone downhill since then. I mean, you look at Baku, that was a disaster of a Grand Prix weekend. Piastri crashed in qualifying and on the opening lap of the Grand Prix. Then you look at Monza and Singapore. His pace was okay, similar to teammate Lando Norris, but it looked like Norris had an edge over those two Grand Prix weekends. And the last two Grand Prix in Austin and Mexico have not been good for Piastri. In Austin, he qualified in P6, finished in P5 and was nowhere near the pace of Norris. And then in Mexico, Piastri qualified in P8 and finished in P5 while Norris dominated that Grand Prix. Now, there have been conspiracy theories in recent weeks that McLaren may be favouring Norris, but McLaren Racing Chief Executive Zak Brown addressed this in an interview with BBC Sport, with Zak Brown saying, "Nonsense," and then he expanded on the specifics of the two races that seem to have led to this becoming an issue, that being Hungary and Italy, with Zak Brown saying, "You're right, it appears the couple of incidents that have happened most recently have kind of fallen Nando's way." Now, when you look at what happened in Hungary, Norris had a bad start to that Grand Prix. He fell down to 5th place, eventually made his way up to 4th, and Piastri was ahead of him on the track in P2, challenging Charles Leclerc for the win. Now, Piastri was on a 2-stop, but Norris switched it up to a 1-stop, and that worked out for him. Whilst it was close between the two drivers at the end of the Grand Prix, Norris managed to win the Hungarian Grand Prix. But Zak Brown said that on the pit wall at the time, neither he nor team principal Andrea Stella believed it would work, with Zak Brown saying, "I wish Netflix was here now, because you'll hear the pit wall conversation. Andrea and I were like, this ain't gonna work." But Lando drove brilliantly, and had that been any other track where passing was a little bit easier, I don't think it would have worked, right? It was just a track that you can't pass on. Then you go to Monza. Norris was in P2, Piastri was in P3, but the team decided to pit Piastri first to cover Charles Leclerc in P4. But then when Norris stopped, he had a slow pit stop and came out behind Piastri, and the team ordered Piastri to give the position back to Norris. But Zak Brown has said that what happened in Monza was just like what happened in Hungary the year before, when Norris ceded the win to Piastri, with Zak Brown saying, "If the lead car is prepared to sacrifice their rights to the first call to help his teammate, who's actually his number one competitor in the championship, that's great teamwork. And we did that to protect Oscar, which actually is to the detriment of Lando in an out-and-out race. Then we had the pit stop issue. Everyone thinks we reversed the order because of the pit stop. That actually had nothing to do with it." So the challenge then becomes you almost can't explain everything all the time, and people jump to conclusions. So I understand what it looks like from the outside, but it's not what's going on in the inside, and we're trying so hard to give them equal opportunity and let them race hard. I wish everyone recognised more of that, but I've definitely come to the conclusion there's too many fans with too many views, and that we've just got to be comfortable with how we're going racing inside McLaren, and that's what's most important to us. Now, Piastri himself feels there's no favouritism in McLaren. When asked directly if he was happy there was no favouritism at McLaren, Piastri said, "I'm very happy that there's no favouritism or bias." He does have a lot of work to do though. I mean, Austin and Mexico, he was just nowhere. His recovery drive in Mexico is better than what I thought it would have been. Still though, a lot of work to do for Piastri, and he said, as quoted by Planet F1, "For some reason, the last couple of weekends has required a very different way of driving. What's worked well for me in the last 19 races has needed something very different the last couple of weekends. I'm trying to wrap my head around why has been a bit of a struggle, but ultimately today was just about trying to experiment with some of those things, because I would agree, I think driving the way I've had to drive these last couple of weekends is not particularly natural for me. So it's been about trying to exploit as much as I can." Now, as we know, this run of bad form has cost Piastri the lead in the standings. Following Mexico, Norris now leads the standings by 1 point, and Max Verstappen has closed a lot. He's just 36 points behind Norris. And following the Mexican Grand Prix, a track where he was in traffic for much of the race. Piastri said he cannot say whether changes made to his driving style on Sunday actually worked, and that this needs to be analysed, with him saying, as quoted by Planet F1, "It's difficult to say ultimately. I think we certainly tried a lot of different things, but at the back with cars as well, so it was difficult to kind of get a read on whether what I was changing with my driving was working that well or not. But ultimately, we'll have to analyse it and see if it looks good, and in terms of the numbers and stuff, because from a feeling point of view, when you're behind that many cars, it's difficult to tell. It wasn't so much the pace of the car, because the car was pretty quick this weekend. It was more just trying to unlock it, and I felt like I potentially made some steps in doing that. But ultimately, when you're behind so many cars and trying to fight for so long, it's difficult to measure that a little bit. So hopefully we'll get a bit more indication from some bits of the data. But that's going to be the video from me today. Thank you ever so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos. And until the next one, take care. Bye.